trees blooming. Looks beautiful, but it's a little bit cold. Okay, here I am at the site of Byrnside's fort and our restoration of the fort. Downstairs, this is exactly how the logs were under the plaster. And a lot of this original chinking from 1770 back in there with stones made to be bulletproof, all white oak logs, and then layers of chinking beyond that, long before it was ever plastered. And you can see at one point they even had white paint on this wall, or whitewash as they call it. So I'm just trying to finish off this room here, prepare it for new chinking, just cleaning the old whitewash off the ceilings. It's coming off pretty well. And I've decided really, if I can help it, not to power wash these logs or even to really sandblast it, though I did buy a sandblaster wherever I need it. So far, I've just been kind of cleaning them with brushes. See, I have a steel brush here. I'm just kind of lightly scraping off that old whitewash. Just trying to be as conservative as possible. Just kind of trying to leave everything just completely the way it was. And just real lightly brush it to get that paint off. And the other thing I've been doing, where is it? Just got this kind of big rough brush. Just been kind of scrubbing it. Because it's not really being restored to be a modern day house to live in. It's purely for the historic preservation, primarily. And so I want to leave it as natural as possible. So it's just a whole lots of sweeping and cleaning is what I've been doing. You can see there was an original staircase right here before they put the fancy staircase in to make it a plantation house. You can see some of that early chinking, and there's where it was chinked on the outside, sloped outwards to drop the rainwater. They really knew what they were doing. These guys were master log cabin builders for sure. They came here, 5 families from the Full Pasture River area, the mountains of Virginia, and they knew what the hell they were doing. I mean, put a full stone basement built into the bedrock, 3 stories, and everything is just really spot on for working with white oak logs in the days before really they had anything but axes. Very little nails even used. It's all really pegged together with wooden pegs. Another thing I've been working on is just cleaning other than cleaning just all the logs, is the ceiling. And, you know, at certain periods they had it just covered in old whitewash, old white paint, and it's just been kind of a pain. They clearly had these beams exposed for a long, long period of time before they ever put plaster up, which we know is in the 1850s when they put the plaster up. So they really liked to paint their ceilings. You can see where they had an old brown paint on it originally. And I don't know if I want to go back to try to replicate that brown paint or later white paints that they put. Like my father's cabin, he has it painted white right there, like a lot of them do, in between the beams. So I don't know, I've never really seen it brown like that. If I want to go back to that, but I've been just kind of lightly sanding some of this white, old white paint off to try to get it off without having to pressure wash or sandblast at all, or really even scrape hard. And it's been working pretty well. The paint's so old, it just really comes right off very lightly, very easily. These poplar beams are just really, really easy to to sand. It's just such a soft wood, so easy to work with. Trying to be really conservative with it. Another paint issue right here, you can see they had a chair rail there, but look at that old paint. Like, what did that look like and what was it originally? It's kind of a dark milky white, kind of a whitewash, but it's more grayish, almost bluish purple. So go back to that, and if so, how do you do it? How do you replicate it? Or just paint it a different color? So I'm up here kind of cleaning up above this window, all sorts of junk. I pulled this out. Look at that, some kind of strap. And look, it's got the buckle still on there. It's one of those, it looks like one of those early two-prong buckles, like a knee buckle looking thing. I'm not an expert in antique clothing, but that looks like colonial era knee buckle. It looks like one that we found in the yard. Maybe it's not. It's certainly been there a long time. I'd say it's had to have been there prior to the plaster, which was in the 1850s. Find lots of buckles in the ground, but never really found one attached to something before. That's kind of cool. Okay, about finish up for the day. Done a lot of work in here, cleaning all these old logs, taking nails out that I've missed, other things I've missed. Cleaning the ceiling, getting all the old white paint off. There's the mantle that's been in the other room since we took the plaster down. Just put it back to see what it looked like. Looks pretty good. Some of the progress on the ceiling. All that poplar comes pretty clean. It's just manual labor. Thinking of cutting that out, putting a hearth back in there. I believe I found the one they may have robbed from it originally when they put the newer floor down, circa 1850s. And look at this, you can see the old floor. Look at the old floor under that one. Look how thick it is. Super primitive and thick. Another thing I was looking at is when they robbed the hearth out, or maybe this was the support for the hearth, I'm not sure. But look at the saw marks. I believe that those are pit saw marks. And if that's the case, that's holding in this fireplace. It butts up against it, kind of frames it in. If this fireplace, when it was changed from a cooking fireplace, hell, if they used a pit saw to cut that frame out, that puts just this fireplace as we see it here very early. As you can see, originally it was a wider cooking fireplace that went all the way to the logs. And then at some point, pretty early on, I believe when they built an outdoor kitchen or an adjacent kitchen building, they just turned this into a regular fireplace, which they apparently liked a lot better. And it matches the fireplace on the other side in the early log addition. Lots of dust. You can see the charring from the original cooking fireplace. Pretty cool. Cleaned a lot of these logs. It's just slow going. I'm trying to do it real conservatively. pretty nice out. Look at that. Looks like a bullet hole. Look at that burnt mark. I know they used to burn like splitting wedges and stuff into these things, but I mean, they weren't splitting anything right there. I wonder what burnt that. See one of the loopholes there. Coming pretty clean.